How you doing, folks? Sorry this is coming out so late. Like I said, I got caught up with a bunch of things and then power, and then I'm finally getting a chance to make this now for you, so I apologize that it's so late, but I still wanted to get this out to you. So, with that being said, this is going to be just a quick little workshop as to what it looks like when we're plotting charts using Google Sheets. I like Sheets just because it's very, I can't think of the word, but it works well with using Google Docs. Obviously, it's all Google Suite, so it makes life kind of easy. That being said, this is, of course, not the only way to do this, and if you find other programs that work for you, wonderful, so long as they work for you. That being said, here we are in Sheets. So what I've got right here is some sample data, and in this first column here, in A1, I have the title of my independent variable. In this case, I just have manipulation, because this could be whatever. This could be your plane design, right? So maybe this is plane design. It could be wingspan, whatever it is, sure. And so let's say then if we're doing plane design, what I've got here in A2, 3, 4, and 5 is whatever I decide to call them. So if I had 4 different designs, perhaps I just decide to call them Design A, Design B, Design C, and Design D. And of course, because I'm using designs, I should probably have a photo that goes along and tells me what each design A, B, C, and D are. But for now, it's totally okay, just because we're at this point, we're assuming we've collected all that info and that's already there, and we can continue with that. So again, so in this case, my independent, my manipulation, in this case, is plane design. Whatever you decided to do for your independent variable, whatever your manipulation was, that's our independent variable here. That's spelled design, right? And these are my manipulations of that independent variable. In B1, what I have is my dependent variable, and specifically what I have here is the average of my dependent variable, because our dependent variable in this case was our flight distance. I'm using inches just because it will probably give us a little bit more of a round number. If you want to use feet and inches, if you want to use centimeters, that's up to you for today. In the future, I will probably want you to do metric of some sort, but for now, whatever works. I'm doing the average here because this actually might work out to be better. You won't have as many clumped graphs. It won't be visually confusing. It won't be visually loud. At this point, we'll only have 4 different bars on our bar graph. If you really wanted to, you could probably do this same thing for all different trials. So let's say that I had 3 trials each. I could probably just, insert a couple columns here, put in my data here that goes along. So trial 1, 2, 3, trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, and then my average for those. It would just be very visually loud, and so I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to do the averages. So I've done my trials, I've collected my data, I've calculated my averages based off of those for each of my plane designs, each of my manipulations, and so I've put them into this table. So again, on this first side here, in the A column is my independent variable, and the B column is my dependent variable. At this point, now we can just click and drag. That's all I'm doing, just clicking and dragging. I'm not clicking this. I'm not clicking this, because when you click and drag this will, I'll show you what this will do. It just overwrites, it takes whatever function is in this bar and replaces it in all of those cells. So I'm not clicking this little box. I'm just clicking and holding the center of the cell and dragging down to the bottom rightmost cell of my data. In this case, it's just 10 total cells. So now I've selected all of this data. Don't worry about this. This is still technically part of cell B1 here. It's just going over the edge. If it will make you feel better, I can bring this out here. Now we can go insert, chart, and at this point, look at this. Now I've got a decent chart already so far. A couple of the things right off the bat that I notice. The first thing off the bat I notice is that in this situation, based off of how I've input my data here, my independent variable is already labeled on my x-axis. That's what we like. My dependent variable is already labeled on my y-axis. That's what we like. When you use Google Sheets, of course, Sheets will do something similar to what I had talked about in class the other day, and it went to the next highest interval that would make sense. and then just plotted everything from there. The other thing I noticed is that it actually already made us a title here. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this title. What I do like about this title, however, is that it's in a Y versus X format, right? So it's our flight distance versus our plane design, Y versus X. However, I'll show you how to change that if you end up not liking it. If in the future you decide you want to do, this is actually something like a scatter plot or a line graph, you can maybe use these tools here to change that for you. But we don't want to use anything else. If you really wanted to, you could probably do a side chart, but it's not, neither one of these is better than the other in my opinion. So now we can customize here. And so the first thing I'm going to say is don't really worry about anything here. Don't worry about anything here. Don't need this, all good. Chart axis and titles, and here we can start to mess with things. Of course, you can click directly in here, but this is also a little bit cleaner way to access some of this. So again, right now I'm in customize under the chart editor. I'm in chart and axis titles, and right now I have the chart title selected. This is a drop down where you'll be able to select the titles of the different pieces. So now in this text bar, I might say something along the lines of how the average flight distance of a paper airplane is affected by plane design. Sure, that's fine. This is in a Y versus X format. If I wanted to, I could totally do something along the lines of putting in inches here. With that being said, it is already in my Y-axis title, so it's not the end of the world, but more information doesn't hurt anybody. But again, notice how this title includes both my Y variable and my X variable. Very nice, I like. Cool. If you wanted to add a subtitle, we don't need a subtitle for this one. The chart subtitle will make a subtitle for the chart. It's not necessary, don't worry about it right now. If you wanted to actually change the title of the X-axis, it is under the horizontal axis title. And so at this point now you can say designation of plane design. You know, because this would be based off of something that you might have already designated in your text. You might have already said that this plane design is designated as plane A, and this is plane B and C and D. Sure, that's fine. And lastly, we can go into our vertical axis title and say average flight. And again, that title really wasn't bad. You can see I've actually, the only other thing I might do is I like to just put it in parentheses. I generally say what I'm looking at. So this is the average flight distance, and then in parentheses I like to include the unit. It's just how I like to do it. You don't have to do it that way. It's just how I've done it since I was your age. Okay. And that's really it. Now at this point, what you can do is you can copy this in some way, shape, or form. I think you could just like, hit this little hamburger button up here, right? So if you select the chart, you can click this little hamburger button, and you can copy the chart, and then you can paste this directly into your Google Doc. I believe there's actually one more piece that I want to show you here, and if I go into, it's fine. This is good. I'm happy. This is nice. This is good. There you go. There's how you can get a quick little chart there. Again, if you wanted to include all of your trials, we could do that, but like I said, that is going to start to get visibly loud. But I could insert a column here and go, trial 1 or something, and say 100, 200, 250, and let's call it 160, sure. So notice that now for plane design A, it's given me blue, which is the length for the trial, red, which is now the average of all the trials for each of my designs. And again, this is just going to end up getting visibly loud because as I add more and more columns, insert column and insert column, let's call it trial 2 and trial 3. Now I can start to get a lot here, and it's going to be really annoying. You you can already see that this is a lot of information here, and it's going to be hard to actually physically understand. So I'd encourage you to stick with just the single column, but again, it is your prerogative and it's how you want to do it. But with that, hopefully this will help you in your creation of bar charts. Okay, bye.